Good afternoon, students at home and listeners. My name is Ofoje Ukeria of Mathematics Department, St. Charles College, Onitsha. My subject this afternoon is mathematics with topic factorization. Specific objectives. At the end of the lesson, the students will be able to factorize expressions. Definition of factorization. Factorization is the opposite of multiplication out brackets or opening brackets. But one thing to note in factorization is that when an expression is factorized and kept in brackets, when the brackets are multiplied out, you must get back to the original expression. Let's look at the following examples. Simple factorization. We have to start with simple factorization because it is the basic. That is the topic that when you listen and get, you will not get factorization very well. Example 1. Factorize the expression 3x plus 9 completely. In factorization, one needs to know from the junior class HCF, because this is what brought about this factorization, and this is the topic that when you have factorization becomes simple for you. Like we see 3x plus 9, we have to first of all look for the factor, and the factor you can get is from the HCF. You can see that the factor here is 3 because it is only 3 that can divide 3x and divide 9. So when we get out the factor, which is 3, we now put the remaining inside the bracket, and that's what gives us the factorization of the expression. Thus, the answer is 3, bracket open, x plus 3, bracket closes. In the second example, we have x squared plus 4xy. You have to first find the factors, as I've said before. Finding the factor means getting the HCF of x squared and 4xy. And the HCF is x. That becomes the factor of that 4x squared plus 4xy. And when you bring out x, you put x plus 4y inside the bracket, and that becomes the answer. The third example is for you to factorize 12b cubed plus 14b squared minus 30bcd. The same factor you need to find, and the factor of them is 2b, which when you open the bracket, what you have at the answer of factorization is 2b, bracket open, 6b squared plus 7bc minus 15cd, bracket closes. Now, we have seen the simple factorization. We are going to go into factorization of larger expression, which we must get by grouping. It's that simple factorization that is going to help us in this larger expression. For you can see that in larger expression, we can have the HCF of all, and so we have to break them down into simple factorization, and hence find the factor. So when we look at the first example, factorize xy plus xz plus ay plus az. You can see that you cannot find any factor of the 4 terms, and so we bring them into simple expressions. And that's why we have sy plus xz in the first bracket plus ay plus az in the second bracket. And when we get to their individual factors, we have the first bracket as x as the factor, and we have a as in the second bracket. So what we have there is x, bracket opens, y plus z, bracket closes, plus a, bracket opens, y plus z, bracket closes. If you look into this step, you will see that y plus z is also common, and so they become the factor of that particular expression there. And so when we brought them out, what we have as the final answer is y plus z, bracket closes, and s plus a. In example 2, we are asked to factorize 2x squared plus 6x minus 6cx minus 3c. You can also see that we can find the factors of the 4, and so we bring them into small simple factorization. So we group 2x squared plus 6xy in the first 6x in the first bracket, and group 6x cx minus 3c in the second bracket. where we now have 2x as the factors of 2x squared and the 6x. Also, in cx minus 3c, we have the factor to be c. So in the first bracket, when we bring out the factor as 2x, we have x plus 3 in the first bracket, and also c is the factor of the second bracket. We have inside the bracket x plus 3. And so x plus 3 is in the first bracket and x plus 3 also in the second bracket, making them common. So we have to bring out the x plus 3 as a factor also in the expression. And so that gives us the answer, 2x minus c brackets x plus 3. One can answer, a student can ask, must it be 2x minus c in the first bracket? No. You can bring x plus 3 in the as the first bracket and 2x minus c as in the second bracket. The third example is to factorize 2by minus 2bx minus 3ay plus 3ax. In the solution, we have to group them also into the first group, 2by minus 2bx, bracket closes, minus bracket open 3ay plus 3ax, bracket closes. And when we find their individual factors, we saw that in the first one, 2b is the factor, which remains y minus x as the bracket, and 3a as the factor, which remains y minus x as the bracket. Also, we have y minus x as the common factor. And when we bring it out, what we have as the answer is 2b minus 3a, bracket closes, and y minus x in the second bracket. With that now, we move into quadratic factorization. You can see that we have moved into the simple factorization. We go into factorization of larger expression. Is this factorization of larger expression that is taking us to quadratic factorization, which you will see that we also use group methods to do that. But what we want to know about quadratic factorization is that any expression we call quadratic is an expression that has the highest power of the unknown to be x squared. As you can see the expression to be ax squared plus bx to power 1 plus cs to power 0. You see that the expression diminishes. It moves from 2 to 0, and that is the unknown terms. A, B, and C we call coefficients, which when we want to bring the concrete quadratic, we have A to be 1, B might be minus 3, C might be 6, as we can see in the following example. But one thing we have to look at is how we reach into doing this quadratic expression. The steps are as follows, but you are to know that it is only when the highest power of the unknown is 1, that is where you use this method. And the method is as follows. 1. Fill x in each of the brackets, as you can see. X in the first bracket begins, and x in the second bracket begins. Then we move into what we saw in our first simple factorization, that factors is the most thing that we need in this quadratic, and we also find the factors. In the third step, after grouping them, finding the factors, we group them in the third step, and when we have seen the correct factor, which we will see how we do it in the examples that as follows, we now insert the correct factors in the brackets of the first step. Let's look at the following example. Example 1. We are asked to factorize x squared plus x minus 12, which I told you that it is quadratic because the highest power of the unknown, that is x, is 2. And the coefficients of a, as we are seeing in the introduction, is 1. Now we move to the first step. We open the two brackets where we insert x in the different brackets. In the second bracket, what we need to do is that place that you saw, cs raised to power 0. The name we gave it is constant term because that x raised to power 0 is 1, as we can see. And that is why that last term has no term of x in it. So we want to use it to find the factors that we will include to get the correct answer. So we look at the factors of minus 12. When you get the factors of minus 12, you see that there are many. One thing we need to do is to look at the correct one. And you know what? The one that will give us the correct one is the one that when we put together will give us the middle term. That is plus x. Now when we get to the factors, we have plus 4 and minus 3. When we multiply it, we saw that it will give us minus 12. Minus 6 and plus 2 will also give us minus 12. Plus 12 and minus 1 in multiplication will also give us minus 12. Then what next? The student can ask, how do we now know the one to pick? I said before, the one to pick is the one that will give us exactly the coefficient of the middle number, which is x, to be what? 1. And when we look at plus 4 and 3, plus 4 minus 3 will automatically give us 1. That makes the other one to be wrong. And so the correct factors here are plus 4 and minus 3. So we insert it in the first step, where we have opened x and x in the second bracket. So the answer now becomes x plus 4 bracket closes and x minus 3 bracket closes. In the second example, we are asked to factorize x squared minus x minus 20. Just as we have seen in the introduction that we need to look for this step. The first step is to open the brackets where we insert x in the different brackets. And so we move into finding the factors. If you look below, you see that plus 10 and minus 2, when multiplied together, will give us minus 20. And minus 5 and plus 4, when we multiply it together also, it will give us minus 20. Then what next to do? We have to look at the one that will give us exactly minus what? X. And that is minus 5 and plus 4. So we insert minus 5 and minus 4 in the different brackets in step 1. That gives us the answer to be x minus 5 in the first bracket and x plus 4 in the second bracket. That gives us the answer. We get to the third example. To factorize x squared plus 7x plus 10, we move into opening the two brackets again, where we insert x and x in different brackets. And when we look at the factor, we see that plus 5 and plus 4 will give us plus 7x. But our students can still ask us, plus 5, minus 5 and minus 2 can equally give us plus 10. But my students, it won't give us plus 7. Minus 5 and minus 2 will give us minus 7. But what we have in the middle term is plus 7x. That makes plus 5 and plus 2 to be more qualified to go into the brackets. And so we choose plus 5 and plus 2. And that gives us the answer to x plus 5 brackets open in the first and x plus 2 brackets. That brings us to the end of the lesson. Students, I hope you enjoyed the lesson. Take down the following evaluation tests. Factorize the following expression. 1. 10x cubed plus 6x squared y squared. 2. 4n squared plus 2n minus 2n minus 1. 3. X squared minus 5x minus 12. 4. X squared plus 4x minus 12. You have to solve and send to the WhatsApp contacts 07035 365700. I'm still from St. Charles College, Onitsha. Thanks for listening.